सर ने ज्वाइन नहीं किया
the chat box, and the presenters will reply at the end of the sessions. For those of you who have joined our webinar for the first time, let me briefly introduce India Tourism Mumbai. The India Tourism Mumbai is the regional office of Ministry of Tourism, Government of India for the Western and Central region, covering the states of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Goa, Gujarat, and the Union Territory of Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu. And coming to today's webinar series, let me tell you briefly about the initiative of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. The Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat initiative was announced by our Honorable Prime Minister on the 31st October 2015 on the occasion of 140th birth anniversary of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. One of the objectives of Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat is to showcase the rich heritage and culture, customs and traditions of bad states for enabling people to understand and appreciate the diversity that is India, thus fostering a sense of common identity. Through this innovative measure, the knowledge of the culture, traditions, and practices of different states and union territories will lead to an enhanced understanding and bonding between the states, thereby strengthening the unity and integrity of India. The Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program aims to actively enhance interaction between people of diverse cultures living in different states and UTs in India, again, thus promoting a mutual understanding, as I told earlier. And it is also envisaged that through this exchange, the knowledge of language, culture, tradition, and practices of different states will lead to a better understanding. And for this, there is an engagement matrix where two states are paired. And today we have the presentation on state of Maharashtra in western region, which is paired with Odisha in the eastern region. Today, our expert presenters will be talking about the traditional or the indigenous toys of Odisha and Madhya Pradesh, sorry, Odisha and Maharashtra, including the regional games, which are today almost kind of forgotten or just left to certain pockets. And to tell briefly about our presenters, Mr. Tapan Kumar Mishra is a regional level guide from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. He is from the eastern region, and he's also a national awardee for guiding. And he will today present on the indigenous toys of Odisha and the regional games. Mr. Tapan is an avid traveler. He has crisscrossed the countries several times and is always continuously traveling. And in fact, he is a mine of information on Odisha's tourist attractions, art, culture, textile, heritage, etc. He has conducted several webinars for India Tourism Mumbai and a great friend of Mumbai. And from Maharashtra, we have Chitra Acharya, who is a senior regional level guide with almost 18 years of experience. And she is again a keen researcher and a storehouse of information on Maharashtra's tourist attraction, culture, and heritage. In fact, when we asked her to look up talking on the subject, she really agreed and kind of done some research and come up with her presentation today. I thank both the speakers for taking time out and to address all of us today. And you may be asking, what is the connection between tourism and toys? In fact, if you look at the traditional toys in India, are a living manifestation of India's diversity and pluralistic culture. Toys in India speak volumes of the community, its culture, its belief systems, and ethos. These toys not only demonstrate the ingenuity and craftsmanship which is passed through generation, but also bring to life the various stories of communities that they come from. In fact, the tourism is all about creating jobs, livelihood, and inclusiveness. And when we travel, especially, shopping is one of our main objective also, and it's a part of the tourism experiences where we look up to pick up handicrafts, textiles, etc. So indigenous toys would also be one of our kind of in the shopping list as we go forward when things open and we start traveling. The indigenous toys of India really makes it very engaging and enriching tool to familiarize with India's culture to the young, and also they widen the horizon through the truly interactive experiences. In fact, crafts have not only become the central part of the India's economy, but they are also integral to India's rich heritage and culture. The Ministry of Tourism is promoting the indigenous toys and will encourage both the Indian and global audiences to explore India and carry back a toy. Similarly, there is also a lot of interest among the traditional games, which again our both the experts will talk about from the both the regions. And I also would like to acknowledge the support that the Press Information Bureau Mumbai has been extending to our webinar series by regularly promoting it and popularizing it. My personal thanks to PAB again. And with this today, we'll go first to Maharashtra, where Chitra will talk about the toys and games of Maharashtra, and then Tapan will take over. Over to you, Chitra. And I wish you all have a great toy story, which is coming up shortly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Namaste, everybody. And I'm sure you all are eagerly waiting to know the different games and toys of Maharashtra. Today, before I start explaining you about the toys, I, I really want to thank sir, first of all, for arranging this topic, because uh, everybody who is of my age, in the 40s and mid 40s and above 40s, we have played with these toys. Today, if you want to say something, even if you use the word a name of the toy to the younger generation, who are like who are not even teenagers, maybe smaller than them, or even those who are teenagers, they don't even understand the word, forget about knowing the game or the toy. So I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart to take initiative to introduce this culture uh, to the audience and to the viewers, because this will, I'm sure, open the big canvas of knowledge to everybody who is interested in Indian culture and heritage. Today, I'm more focused on the toys and the regional games of Maharashtra. Toys, because we all love, I'm going to keep it in the second part of my talk. First, I'm going to talk about the different games we have it in Maharashtra. And like last time, I explained you about the weaves of Maharashtra. This time, it's going to be the games of Maharashtra. So, before I start explaining you each game, I would like to tell you the games what we basically play in Maharashtra state, out of which one of the game is a state game. I'm going to mention it. We start with Sagar Gote. I'm explaining you these games with the Maharashtrian names. So the if you see the photograph, you will come to know that few boys are playing this game and what they are playing with. The small seeds they're playing with. I'll explain you a little more detail as we go further. Then it comes to Sur Parambya. Even the it's like nowadays the boys and girls who stay in countryside, which is full of vegetation, they will know this game very well. That is Sur Parambya. The third game we come to, that is Lagori, one of my really favorite game and very close to my heart. I'll tell you the reason why so. Then it comes to Kanda Fodi, which comes to Viti Dandu after that. Kusti, a very popular game in Maharashtra. Then we have Pakada Pakdi. That is, we also have one form of it, which is played as Andhari Koshimbir. Kho, which is a state game. Then we have Bityas. Then we have Taktumba. So these are the few games I'm going to explain you first, and then we will start talking about the toys of Maharashtra. So when we start with Sagar Gote, you can see it's a very classical and it's a classically favorite game played with 5 big seeds. Of course, you see many seeds in the photograph, but traditionally, when we play Sagar Gote, there are 5 even shaped seeds or maybe the pebbles, and we flip them in the air. And while taking it or while doing it, what we do, we throw them in the air, and our palm is straight like this. And then when we try to pick them up at when they're coming down, we flip a hand and we try to pick these stones between the 2 fingers. So that is the main task of this game, because if you lose the stone, then you are caught, then you're out. And if you catch hold of all 5 pebbles in your hand, you continue playing them. So those 5 pebbles are kept aside, and then you keep getting the pebbles or the seeds from your it's like a players. And eventually, if you continue playing without losing a stone, you become the winner. So it's a very simple game. See, today we all are sitting down, and it's by force we're sitting down. But we're talking about the era which is more than 100 years ago. The mode of transport was much more difficult, and wasn't really common to travel from one place to other. So during vacation, these games were played, especially on veranda or your courtyard of your houses. So kids are right in front of your eyes, and still they're engaged in involved in the games, and they're not going elsewhere. What is required in this game, Sagar Gote, is an absolute coordination between your hands and eyes. Both have to work together, because if you lose your sight or if you misplace your hand, you automatically lose the stones and you lose the game. So that is the Sagar Gote we start with. Next game, that is the Sur Parambya. Sur Parambya, it's a lovely photograph you can see, and the photograph speak volume about the game I'm explaining you here. If you can see, it's a huge gigantic tree which look like a banyan tree. Most of the time, Sur Parambya is played with banyan tree. And what is this game all about? Sur means a dive, and Parambi is actually a hanging root of a banyan tree. So generally, it's played on banyan tree. But if you don't have a banyan tree, you still can play the game. How? By diving from one tree to other tree. And the best part is, while doing it, you should not be losing your balance. It is all about the balance. It's about the grip. So when you're holding the root, you have to hold it very sturdy. And when you're diving, you have to see to it that you don't lose your balance. Here, this game is not played into teams, but between a whole group against one player. See, in Maharashtra, we say the player who's playing against the entire team, he gets the Rajya. That means it is his turn to play the game. So here, only one person is actually behind all these girls and boys to catch hold of them. Basically, if you see, it is not, it's like there is no discrimination as such, because this game is played by both, by boys and the girls. Traditionally, if you see, we had many folklores. Also, apart from playing Sur Parambya, what you see in the photograph, the newly married girls, especially when they used to come to their maternal families, they used to have lots of uh, grudges about their in-laws' families, and which they wanted to share with their, fellow, you can say, participants or the friends, the childhood friends. But when you are actually are talking hard about your in-laws family, you want to complain, but you don't want to sound complaining. So what they would do, they will make a swing of these like a roots, and they literally move ahead. It's like one person is in the front, one is at the back, one is in the front, one is at the back, and they start gossiping against the in-laws with the help of these parambya, that is the hanging roots. Here, as I said to you, one person is playing against all the players. So if at all, if you lose the balance, if you just fall down, or if the player catches you when you are changing your branch or the tree, or if you are trying to jump or a dive from one tree to other, in between, if you get caught by the player, you are out, and then you have to sustain the game as a player. So Sur Parambya is one of the very interesting game. It is still played in countryside of Maharashtra, and I'm sure it is played in other parts of India too. But it's very popular in Maharashtra, as we have lots of banyan trees here. The third game, which is again my favorite game, as the picture speaks, you can see there's a boy who is throwing a ball on the pile of the flat stones. But in the other side of the picture, you see wooden blocks. That is what I want to explain you in details. See, now it has become very fancy. So we have a lot of artisans in India and we like to beautify everything, whatever we create. So the traditional form of Lagori is to arrange the pieces on top of one another. But if you see the second part of the picture, the second side of the picture, you will automatically come to know that the pieces are in a, like a increasing order. The size of the pieces is getting bigger and bigger. So when there are two teams playing against each other, one team member throw the ball on Lagori. So he get 3 attempts. So in 3 attempts, you have to hit the Lagori, the pile, and you have to break it. So when it breaks down, where the pieces fall apart, and then the opposite team member have to come and arrange it in order. See, when you do it with these stones, there is a lot of opportunity to cheat because you don't know which piece is on the top and which is at the bottom. But when you play with this kind of a colorful and systematically carved flat wooden pieces, it becomes mandatory that you have to attend, like you have to arrange the pieces right in order. And if the order is like wrong, again you have to rearrange. So the game goes on and on and on, and it's never ending. And also, some notorious boys and girls, instead of hitting the Lagori, especially that pile, they sometimes they try to hit you with a ball. And it's like when you're arranging the pieces, automatically what happened, you are very close to these stones. So if a ball get caught in the other in the hands of other team member, automatically you can nicely take a revenge of the opponent by hitting them with a rubber ball. So it definitely hurts, but that is what the whole charm of the game, that you want to hit each other without literally hitting each other, but you want to conquer the person. So Lagori is very easy, and at the same time it's easy with the wooden toys, whereas it is very difficult with the flat stones. The third it's like sorry, the fourth game we come to, you can see the picture. Two girls are sitting in front of each other, and there's a boy running coming down to them. If you look at the picture, you will come to know what they're doing. See, generally the two players sit in front of each other, and they're sitting straight, and there is quite a gap. Now in this picture, their knees are folded, but generally the knees are like, the legs are widely spread and straight. So first they touch each other's feet, then the hands on the top, and once all four hands are done, then they kneel down, and then they start increasing the body height by kneeling on the knee, then on they bend at the back, and they slowly come up. And what is the job of the player who is actually taking it's like a dive or crossing it, is to cross the whole pyramid, the body pyramid, by not touching it. When the hands and legs part is over, and when the two players are sitting or bending down, the job is to cross them by keeping your palms at the back of the player. Here you are allowed to touch the palms, but you are not supposed to touch these two players by your feet. If you touch or accidentally touch these players by your foot, you are out, and then you have to continue the path. This is called Kanda Fodi. I'm very happy to share the meaning of the name Kanda Fodi. What is Kanda? It's actually an onion. Fodi means to break. See, if you break an onion or if you cut an onion, you see the layers inside. So this game is a game of a layers of the body part. You go on increasing, and the opponent you want to get caught by getting them touched to your body part. You know, when we played this game, we purposely used to show it's just like a camel. You bend down, and when the person who's running down and coming close to you, what we would do, we will show that this is the normal height. But as soon as the person comes very close, we try to bend the back in such a way, we make the arch in such a way that automatically you get touched to the the person touches your back, and then that person is out of the game. So that's all the Kanda Fodi is. It's a very interesting game. We have played a lot. I'm sure my age group who will remember these games whenever they see these photos. The next game we come to, this game, you can see the picture. It's a very beautiful painting, if you can see. It's a game which is called Viti and Dandu. These are two different words and the two different instruments we require to play the game. Now, if you see, there are two boys in this game, but when I grew up as a child, this game literally was played with my cousins, brothers, and sisters. So it wasn't really boys or girls game. It was a game for everybody. Now, when you see this, many people will say, "Oh, this is the Gilli Danda." See, these are all indigenous games. Many games were originated in this land, and some we had from the Vedic era stock. So that is why sometimes you see some similarities with different names. But in Maharashtra, we call this game as a Viti Dandu. It is played with two instruments, as I said to you. The smaller one, which is called Viti, and the longer stick is called Dandu. Now, what we do usually, we dig the soil and we put the small stick on that particular hole, just like you play golf. It's like a golf, but it's an Indian golf. So what we do, that hole what we make, the half hole we make it into the soil is called gull and a gully, and we have to arrange the smaller stick on top of that. When there are two teams generally, and when one team person is playing, what he does or she, with a big stick, they try to hit the small VT, that is a small stick, and they try to airlift that small stick. When the small stick is in the air, it is airborne, the fielder from the opponent team try to catches it. If the fielder is failed to do it, and luckily if a player who is playing it try to strike it again, it can get strike and can get through far away distance. So as far as it goes, as many points the player wins. So this game is sometimes time consuming, because if you are a very good at your it's like a stroke, you can never fail, and you have to just stroke it in the air and continue playing it. Again, this is a hand and eye coordination, which I really personally like it. And additional points make the person win, and always you have some perks after winning the game. So these perks could be like some sweets or some local delicacies. One team has to feed it to the other team. The next game we come to, which is very close to the heart of all Indians, we believe that this game is very ancient game. We in Maharashtra are very proud of this game. It's called Kushti or Kusti. The pictures speak volume about the game. Can you see the red soil? You see a couple of gods and goddesses photographs on the wall. That is usually the Hanuman, the god of power, strength, and who sustains in any odd condition. Basically, in Farsi language, Kusht means to kill someone. We find this game in many Europe. It's like Eastern European countries, but at the same time, it is, we said, is a very ancient Indian game where we see in the reference of Mahabharata, the famous kushti we had between the Duryodhan and Bhim, and eventually Bhima won the game because he won the game by killing Duryodhana. That's the main idea of kushti, to kill the opponent. But when you talk in modern days, it's like a time, killing definitely is an offense, because people look at this game as a sport, and the required skill or the instrument for this game are quite high. It's like, first of all, we need a red soil, and the place where we play kushti is called akhada. And in akhada, it's like if you are a wrestler, you have to have a red soil on your body. That is basically not a filth, but that's an honor that you are a very strong person, and you can protect yourself and also the people who rely on you. So you can see it is played between the two players. It is always played between two players. It's never played between more than two players. It's always two players. And in today's time, this kushti game is not to kill anybody, but just it's a demonstration of a power, of a strength, of a sustainability. And that's why there's no killing. Rather, killing is a serious offense. It's not allowed in this game anymore. I want to tell you something before we proceed further. In 1952, uh, I would say a great sportsman who came from Satara district, and he made all Indians feel proud in Helsinki Olympic. The Kushti game, when it was played, our a very honorable sportsman, his name is Khashaba Jadhav, won the first um, Olympic medal, the bronze Olympic medal in Kushti in 1952. So Kushti is definitely an indigenous game of Maharashtra, obviously rooted to Indian culture. Then we come to Pakda Pakdi. Pakda Pakdi is again a game. Uh, See, my nephew who is sitting with me, he's laughing at these games because they don't know these games. Because nobody plays these games nowadays. If you see, this picture is actually of a Pakda Pakdi, but you see, Pakda Pakdi, I would explain you with slash Andhari Koshimbir. This is played both the ways. Either you fold your eyes or you don't fold your eyes. So when you fold your eyes, it's called Andhari Koshimbir. When you don't fold your eyes, it is called Pakada Pakadi. Pakadna is actually is a verb, means to catch hold of, and it's always again one person against the whole team. So the boys and girls keep running here and there, and they literally exhaust the player by not getting caught by them, and eventually uh, it's like they literally mercy the player. Sometimes if all of them are tired, they get caught also. But when we play Andhari Koshimbir, Andhari is literally blindfolding your eyes. This game is played, and the boys and girls are so notorious when they play this game. They purposely come very close to the player. They make weird sounds, and they try to touch the player at the back, and they really annoy the player. But because your eyes are closed or they're folded, you cannot see from where who is the person, and because they don't make any personal sound when they're very close, so he doesn't understand who the person is troubling them. So it is like everybody score. It's like a really settling the score with the player who is not so good to them. Then we come to a state game after Pakda Pakdi and Andhari Koshimbir. We see another game, that is Kho Kho. Kho Kho is a very interesting game, and it is a state game of Maharashtra state. Payal, can we have the next slide? See, after Pakda Pakdi, we come to this Kho Kho, and Kho Kho is played between the two teams. These two teams are actually of 15 members, but when you see, there are 9 members of one team on the ground, and there's a straight line drawn on the ground on a, of course, red soil, and we make the marking with the lime powder. So can we have the next slide, please? Yes. So you can see the way they're sitting down here, and they are not sitting completely, if you could see them well. So they are like in a very uncomfortable position, but their knees are bent down. They're taking a support with their 2 palms, and it's like the heels are raised. So there are 3 players which are actually running between these, the whole between and around the whole chain of the boys or the girls who are they playing against. Here the idea is the opponent team member is trying to catch hold of the team which is sitting down. Now the game gets interesting. How these boys and girls who are playing, basically they really confuse the player who is trying to catch hold of them by running between the 2 boys, and they try to run here and there, but there is a specific it's like a limit in the ground they can run around. Then when they get exhausted, or when they want to confuse the player from the opponent team, the boys which are running, they suddenly sit down by just patting their team member, and while doing that they say "Kho." Basically the word "Kho" means get up and go. So here in this game, the most important thing is you're running, your speed is very high, and suddenly you just want your other team member to start running at your place, and you want to sit down. Maybe you want to take a breath or you want to relax. At that moment, This all again is a body and eye coordination. You have to listen to your team member, that who is the one who's now going to get that is Coco, and then you have to be in a very alert mode. As soon as the person say co and he touches your back, you have to get up and start quickly running down. If at all, if the opponent team member who has his turn touches you while you're in the process of getting up and running, you are caught, and then slowly one by one, all the members get caught and they are out of the game. And then that is how you score the marks. And then the opposite team have to either score more, or if they score less, they are the one who are loser in the game. Just like Sagar Gote, the next game, which we could not find the photographs. Even Parul searched a lot, and I did too. But nowadays it's very hard to play the games. They are only in our imagination, or I hope some people play and take the photographs for the future generation. These are the game of Bitya. Bitya is again, Bitya is not a person, is not something, a human being. Bityas are the seeds, longer seeds. The tree is very short tree, and the tree has a thorns, and these seeds of the trees, they fall automatically. They look very beautiful. They look like wood, but they are not wood. And we again flip them in the air, try to hold them. And bityas are usually played with there are 9 bityas we play with, and usually bityas are played by the girls. The last part, when we come to, it's a very favorite word. Wait a minute, I have a game to share, and that game is basically Taktumba. Taktumba is very interesting game. In the ancient days, if you see the old houses, the very old countryside houses, they used to have a lot of columns and the pillars inside the houses. So, for example, if there is it's very sunny outside, or if it's raining outside and you want to be inside the house, we never had computers or mobile to play the games with. Television wasn't really so popular. Even it was not even there in the life of the social system at that time. So what we would do, we have played this game, so I can tell you, like you take 4 columns of your house, or maybe like as many columns if you have. So the again, this is like one person against the whole team, and they make it's like a ball of their hands like this, and they go to each person who is at the pillar, and they would say taktumba tag de. So when he say taktumba tag de, the person with the pillar would say Aznai Baba Udaye. That means, please give me some buttermilk if you have. And they get the answer from the person who's holding the pillar. Sorry, I don't have it today. You come it tomorrow. Very often, if you see the political scenario, or if you see some very professional people, they don't want to say no, but they say no in such a way that you have a hope that they will someday they will grant you it's like a wish, and they will fulfill it. So here the idea is the 4 people who are in 4 different columns, where they're running between these columns. So the person who is in the center, he go on asking for the buttermilk from each column, or the pillar, whoever the person is standing with. And what the other it's like the column people, what they have to do is they have to exchange their columns. It's like they have to run between the 2 columns, and while they're doing it, if the person who is in charge of catching hold of them, if he touches them, they get caught. So that is how the game is sustained further, and this is continued forever, because nobody actually wins the game and nobody loses it either, because it is like passed on from one person to other. So these were the few games I spoke to you we have in Maharashtra. See, some of the games, when I was preparing for this talk, I found that many games we have in India. Some games, when Tapan talked to you, you will come to know that there are quite similar games played all over India. But few games I discussed with, they were more famous in this land, the land of Maharashtra. And that is the reason I paid more focused on them. So when we talk about the games, obviously no game is played without the toys. And we come to the toys, which are very traditional toys of Maharashtra. And we start with the most loved and popular and favorite toys of Savantwadi region, which is on the border of Maharashtra and Goa. Savantwadi once was a princely state too. We still have the king there. And today, if we get to see these toys, we must thank to the royal family there. The reason is because of their patronage. They really got survived for all these years. These are completely handmade wooden toys, and the families involved in making these toys are called Chitrakar or Chitari. This is one of the family name in Maharashtra too. They're called Chitari. The one who draws, one who paints is called Chitari. These toys are specially made in the mango wood. See, if you see the whole Konkan region, mango is seen in abundance, and even the big yachts they make or big the dinghy boats they make, they use the mango wood quite widely. Likewise, when they make the wooden toys, the wood they actually use is a mango wood. India has a huge history of wooden toys, and that is for last 5,000 years. It's not from last 400 or 500 years. It's for 5,000 years. Since last 5,000 years, we are talking about the wooden toys. If you see the ancient sites of India, the excavated sites of India, you find many. Of course, some of them are made out of clay, terracotta, but you see the wooden toys as well. It is said that the Chitari community actually migrated from Karwada, Rajasthan, many centuries ago. And they got this art with them, and it became an indigenous art of Maharashtra state. Wherever in the world you see the wooden toys, all of a sudden everybody starts saying, ah, they're from Savantwadi. So much so, the name Savantwadi and the wooden toys are associated with each other. And basically, the craftsman community is mainly was survived, as I said to you, because of the patronage given by the royal families of Bhosles. You find them in Savantwadi. The cutout pieces are basically finished on the sander, painted and assembled. So they could be it's like the boxes, the wind chimes, the fake vegetable fruits, the whole kitchen set, the dolls, and everything what you see under the sky. I would say that it is made in the wood, and they are famous as the Savantwadi wooden toys. These toys consist of building blocks, puzzles, wooden dolls, what we call it bahuli or bahulya in Maharashtra state. These toys are completely harmless and safe for the kids to use. Since File has got me this Tucky doll after the Savantwadi toys, I have to tell you about it. Can you see the picture? Look at this picture. I really cherish this picture because if you look at it, you will come to know Thaki, Okna means actually fixing up the nail into the wall or into the door or wherever you have to fix the nail. So Thaki was a very popular doll. I'm talking about 50 years and odd years history, not now, because even my generation, when we started playing with the dolls, we already had rubber dolls to play with. So these are quite old, and Thaki is basically one whole piece of wood. It's not that you don't see their body parts. Nowadays, of course, for a fun, they started carving it. But what is main thing in this particular doll, when you see it, you will come to know the facial expression. Can you see that? It's a doll, though the facial expressions are not very soft, a little rough. And it is said that when the craftsman made these dolls, they made these dolls look like the female members of the in-laws family. So you have to be very careful while playing with them. And the whole wooden piece will get mainly emphasized on the face. Face will be beautifully painted, and of course they now have saris and all that stuff. And then this can also be used as a door stopper, as I said to you earlier, to fix up a nail. Thaki was also part of the small, what we used to say, Bahula Bhauli's Lagna, the wedding of the small dolls, what we used to have. So Chucky was always the bride also. So Chucky doll, I'm sure the yesteryear generation can never forget. When we come to uh, Bhatukli, when we talk about Bhatukli, Bhatukli, I just got a Gajifa card. Okay. Can you have the Bhatukli, please? The next one. I want Bhatukli, the kitchen set. The kitchen set. Okay, let it be. So basically, this game is more than four. It's like a few centuries ago. We say that in the great Jnaneshwari, that you call Ganeshwari in Hindi, Sant Jnaneshwar have mentioned about Bhatukli when he was talking to his sister. He has addressed his sister, and they have discussed about this Bhatukli game. Basically, in simple word, if I have to explain you what Bhatukli is nothing but introducing or teaching the home management rituals and tradition to the girls and boys. Often it is said that the Bhatukli is played by the girl child only, which is not true. I'll explain you why. Basically, the mentioning of Bhatukli, you also get to see in the dictionary of J.J. Moles, the word Bhatukli is mentioned. The dictionary of J.J. Moles has compiled the word Bhatukli in it. It is also said that in Kama Sutra written by Vatsayan, he had mentioned about Bhatukli. When it comes to Bhatukli, everybody, especially the girl child, get very emotional because these are the kitchen techniques or the rituals taught to her by little elderly girls of the family. Because prior independence, we had child marriages. Obviously, the girl child learned all the household work and the kitchen activities when they were much younger. So Bhatukli was a part of the teaching, like homeschooling for them. So when it comes to Bhatukli, you get to see that Bhatukli, uh, even nowadays, just for as a showpiece or as a part of a home decor, many new generation mothers are buying it for their daughters, and it is available in brass, copper, and steel. Now, few things are added to the very traditional sets of Bhatukli, and they are basically uh, it's like the table fan, then mixer grinder. You can see the sewing machine. These are the new things added to the Bhatukli. There is a gentleman in Pune that his name is Vilas Karandikar, and he's actually a curator, and he have collected more than 3,000 utensils, not only from Maharashtra but from all over India, which he called Ajichi Bhatukli, means my grandmother's toys, and which is a very beautiful collection one must see to understand our history and heritage. In as I said to you, as I mentioned it to you, the modern day people or the we have one ideology where they say why we should not be gifting Bhatukli to the girl child because it's like teaching them only the kitchen stuff. But if you see, I definitely have to tell you in today's context, the one who eats must know the cooking as well, and that we have learned in last 6 months, that how without the help we all got helpless. So learning kitchen skill, understanding kitchen management was definitely part of Indian upbringing in the past or the history. Bhatukli is always played collectively, and it's also played with the boys and girls. It's not mandatory to the girls only, but in the past, it was always played with boys and girls. There used to be a wedding also done between the two teams sometimes when they used to play the Bhatukli. A very artificial cooking, so they would use the leaves or the flowers to show the how they make the curries, or small leftover dough from the kitchen. They would make it make the chapati or the Indian bread. So that was all done by the participants while playing the bhatukli. We come to the third one in the games, and this is my last game in the order, that is the Ganjifa cards. Without explaining you Ganjifa cards, it is very it will be an injustice to discuss the games and the toys of Maharashtra. See, purposely I kept Ganjifa in the end. The reason was Ganjifa is a game as well as they are toys. So the game of Ganjifa is played with the Ganjifa toys. Now, before we proceed, I must explain you what Ganjifa cards are. Can you see the interesting, colorful, round paper? That these cards basically are the Ganjifa cards. And here you see them all with the circle, the border, but many Ganjifa cards are done without the border. As basically Ganjifa cards too, they come from Sawantwadi. This again we have to thank the family, the royal family of Bhosles from Sawantwadi, that they are preserving this art. Let me tell you, in 1981, there were 45 Chitari families, the families of Chitaris, the Chitrakars, who used to make these cards. And today the number is dropped to 6 families. Isn't it sad? How will we survive these people? How will we sustain this art? And if we can't, then this art will die soon. We have to really look into it seriously, how to sustain this. Today, a Ganjifa pattern or cards can also be used as a part of home decor if you look at them carefully. See, there are basically 4 type of Ganjifa cards. When we discuss about Ganjifa cards, I have to tell you how they look like and how they are. So we have Dashavatari Ganjifa cards, then we have Darbari Ganjifa cards, then we have 9 planets, and then Bazaar Ganjifa cards. See, when I say Dashavatari Ganjifa cards, it speaks about itself. Dasha means 10. Avatar are the incarnation of the Lord Vishnu, the god of preservance. So these will be 10 cards, and all 10 cards will have different incarnation of Lord Vishnu. The figure, it's like the particular avatar of Vishnu, from 1st to 10 will be in the same size, but it will be very beautifully painted, and it will be intricately painted too. So they, in the past they used to use the vegetable dyes. Now they try to use non synthetic chemicals, but still uh, there are different color, very strong Indian color paintings used for making the drawing of Ganjifa cards. The second comes is the Darbari Ganjifa cards. This is very it's like there is a very interesting border. If you see these cards, especially in the picture, the borders are plain. They are plain with one single color. But when you see Darbari cards, even the border has very fine painting on it. So if you have to sometimes take a magnifying glass, even for painting and even to see what design the border has. So that is how the Darbari cards are made. Third one among the 4 Ganjifa card is actually the 9 planets. Again, as I said to you, 9 planets are of 9 different planets. So in Vedic science or Vedic era, even the planets have the human body. So each planet's body or the it's like the iconography wise, it's all beautifully painted. You can see one riding on a horse there. Can you see that in the picture? So likewise, you will have from the Jupiter to Saturn to the Mars to the Venus planets painted on the round card. Now, the last one comes the Bazaar Ganjifa. Bazaar Ganjifa, as I said to you, is a Ganjifa card without borders. So in this picture, if you see the Ganjifa with border, Bazaar Ganjifa comes without the border. So the whole round card will have a beautiful painting without any outer line. So that also makes it look very beautiful. When we discuss about the raw material used for it's like a required and used for making Ganjifa is the paper tamarind. Then we have shadu soil. See, today's world, we talk about the eco-friendly thing. Imagine these Ganjifa cards are so ancient, and how it was wisely planned to make these cards with the locally available shadow soil, which is extremely fine and absolutely silky touch you get to know when you touch it. So that is used. And then you have lacquer. Why we use lacquer while painting Ganjifa? Because the painting, you want to make it survive for longer. So lacquer fix the paint on the card for longer duration, and it helps the paint to stay strong on the card. And the last one is the gun Arabic. Gun Arabic is also used, and basically that is how the cards can sustain for longer period. In India, they arrived through the Sufi scent. It is said the Ganjifa cards, basically, we talk about Maharashtra and we make them in India now. But probably the origin, or we are not sure about it, but when we read a few books, we say that the Sufi scent made it popular, and they basically, again, the royal families of Bhosles, they introduce it to you. Before concluding, I want to repeat it to you that in 1981, where there were 45 families, dropped down to 6 families today. We must think about it that not only the games, but how to save these toys and how to sustain them, to introduce them to the future generation. And because these games are not just the games or not just something to get nostalgic with, it's a part of our rich and very vivid heritage. So when it comes to games and toys, we can go on and on and on. But today I mainly focused on the much talked about and a bit vanishing games and toys. So if you could pay attention, if you ever go to Savantwadi, make sure you visit the palace, make sure you do see the Chitaris painting these Ganjifa cards, make sure you get some of them for your kids, and make sure you sustain them for the future generation. So thank you very much for listening. I want to wish best luck to Tapan, who is coming after me. So thank you very much once again, Parul and sir. Will say thank you in the end again. But over to you, Tapan.
Thank you, Chitraji. Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me, Chitraji?
Yeah, Tapan,
Yes,
you are clear.
Yeah.
I have to mute myself.
Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Good evening, panelists, and good evening, the dear viewers. Thank you, Chitraji, once again for giving such beautiful knowledge, really. And I was just thinking, what a consequence, what a coincidence. Lot of toys and lot of games are very mixed with and very similar to Orissa. It's maybe to similar part of other parts of India too, but too much similar like Guli Danda you are talking about. I was just thinking very similar in Odisha. So we have a lot of toys and a lot of games very similar. I think it's also in other parts. So anyway, taking too much of time, I may come to my screen sharing without spoiling more time. Parulji, can I share my screen, please? Yeah. I hope you can see it on your screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So the same topic for me also from Odisha, traditional toys and regional games. Particularly this cover screen, the cover page here was clicked by me in Sri Lanka, in Mirsa beach of Sri Lanka. Such a coincidence, very beautiful toys are there. They sell it, they make it out of coconut covers and they sell it on the beach. I had clicked this photo in Mirsa beach of Sri Lanka. I mean, yeah, near to Colombo, and thanks a lot that I am using it now. Anyway,
Tapan,
coming to the,
you'll have to expand the images. The slides are.
I have to make it full screen, sir.
Full screen, yes.
Moment, sir. Moment, sir, I'm doing it. Right.
So it's the third one next to the volume.
Yeah, just put a F5.
So doing it, moment, full screen. Take. Is it okay, sir, now?
Yeah, it's okay.
So first I'm covering the toys. Later I will cover the games, regional games of Odisha. When I speak of toys, like Chitraji was telling, a lot of toys are very similar to Maharashtra also. And when we speak of toys, I mean the indigenous toys particularly, we never give up. I mean we never sideline the heritage village of Odisha. That's the only one, Raghurajpur, just 10 kilometers before Puri. So most of the toys are made there. I mean, most indigenous toys are still alive there. I mean, they are practicing. Still now the family members of the artist family of Raghurajpur village, the heritage village of Puri, heritage village of the state even. And that is the only heritage village of Eastern India even, declared by UNESCO. These family members, some of the family members, like Chitraji was telling, few members at Samantawadi are there doing the Ganjipa. Only 6 families. Similarly, here also the number of families are going down, and those who are doing this, they are majorly, moreover, they do Pattachitra and the painting on the silk also, and palm leaf engraving, talpatta ka painting and Pattachitra. Very few families go on practicing this toys, and thanks God they are doing it, whether it is sold or not. They are struggling a lot, really. So thanks in the sense that maintaining the tradition, they stick to the culture, whether they are in hungry stomach or whatever may be. And the most important part of this village, I mean this artist family, they do the cow dung toys, very indigenous one. It is made out of canvas, they with thick paper with the cover. I mean, first they use a small cardboard, and they fold the cardboard according to the size of the doll. Then they paste with tamarind paste with the tamarind. It's a glue, kind of very traditional glue and very strong glue. They cover the canvas with a very thin silk to give it a shape, to give it a very fine shape, so that the color will be there. And after that shape, after the canvas and the silk pasted on it with using tamarind glue, they put cow dung on that. And again, when the cow dung is dried, they put another silk cloth, very thin one, very fine one, so that it will make it fine, it will make the doll fine, and the doll can also, the cow dung can also, it can be fine and it will hold the color also. And they also use the indigenous colors from different stones. They collect really from the sea beach and from river beds, and they use the color of the vegetable colors and from different, you see, for example, I'm telling you, they use black from the lampshade. We had our traditional lampshade, and when the lamp was burning, on the top of the cover, it holds some black colors. No, that is it. And when we use our oven also, traditional oven, when we do our firewood, we also use that firewood color to make it black. That is the one example I am giving you. Similarly, they use stone colors to make, here you can see stone colors, the yellow and red, and different colors of leaves to make it greens. So indigenous color, I mean. So that is the importance of this village. They not only continue making dolls, making toys, they continue to use the indigenous colors also. The next slide you see the family, you can imagine, they are not so rich. From the figure you can imagine, they're not so commercial, that's why they are not so rich. I mean, they hold some toys in front of them, you see in front of their veranda, in their house. And a lot of tourists, of course, visit this place. As you know, we have less interest nowadays for toys and dolls. Like when I was preparing for this preparation, my 7-year-old twin girls were telling, Papa, it's toys you are talking about today? I said, yes. They take our Barbie and talk on them. So when we speak about toys, we think of Barbies nowadays. But thanks God, like Chitraji was telling, I had also opportunity of playing with these toys and playing with some indigenous, I mean, some very old games. So these are the toys, cow dung toys. In very few places, I mean, it is rare. I can say it is rarest of the rare nowadays to find, particularly cow dung toys. We have toys, wooden toys and other toys too. And like nowadays, we are living in the age of plastic, everybody running behind plastic. So this is a very typical village doing cow dung toys. I repeat the name of the village for the viewers, those who joined here. That is the heritage village of Raghurajpur, just 10 kilometers before Puri when you drive from Bhubaneswar to Puri. The next slide, you see the same village. And also we have Lord Jagannath, the trio gods, Lord Jagannath, his elder brother Balabhadra and sister Subhadra also. We make the trio gods also there in that village. It is made in that village. Even if it is not so fine, you see the look at the look of the toys, you see the size, it looks rough really. It is not so fine. But it gives such an impression that you will certainly carry one piece with you, that it looks so authentic. May not be fine, may not be sophisticated, but authentic definitely. This village is also popular, like I was telling you, Patachitra and palm leaf engraving, along with making masks also. And we have, when I go to the game part, we have also some folk stories, folk dances. I mean, when we use our mask, we use different masks, like masks of gods and goddesses, masks of gods, masks of demons. So according to theme, according to the festival, theme of the festival, like during Rasa Purnima, we have the mask of Kansa and Krishna Bhagavan. So it depends upon the festival, what festival we are observing. Next one from the same village again, from Raghurajpur, different kinds of masks I was talking about. You see, first one's some masks of some demons, then some gods and goddesses. Elephant god is down there and the down line. Ganesh is there, mask of Lord Ganesh is there. So particularly Puri, being the cultural capital of Odisha, we say, we have a lot of mask dance. We have a typical dance called Sahi Jata in Puri. And during that Sahi Jata, they used to use a lot of masks. And that's a very typical dance form. And from this village of Raghurajpur also, the materials are made here for the Sahi Jata of Puri. And these are the covers, these are the toys made out of covers of coconut. You can see it very clearly here. This is also popular in that village, particularly in other parts of the state, particularly when you drive, when we are covering Golden Triangle of Bhubaneswar, Puri and Konark, we have a lot of handicraft shops too in Bhubaneswar and a lot of villages just outskirts of this capital city. And in Pipli also, which is famous for applique work. In the same applique shop, we can find these toys made of coconut covers. As you know, we are in the coastal, when I am talking about Golden Triangle of Bhubaneswar, Puri and Konark, these are on the coastal belt of Odisha. So very similar like that of Kerala, we have a lot of coconut plants. So we have a lot of coconuts. But unfortunately, after the killer cyclone of 99 and the cyclone of Fani last year, we had lost a lot of coconut trees. We have a great damage, huge loss to this industry, I mean coconut industry. Still then some of the artists are making it, but a great impact has been done. I mean, impact is there because of these two killer cyclones of Odisha, one in 1999, another one is 2019. Coming to the next one, these are again from the cow dung. The toys from the cow dung, you see, we make some religious, some mythological toys like images of Lord Hanuman, images of Lord Jagannath, Balabhadra and Subhadra. So along with the normal toys for the babies, for the normal kids to play, we have also this type of, we have also the religious, mythological characters to display with. The next one is terracotta. The next one is terracotta. As you know, it is out of bound clay. So we have a lot of clay materials still now. Also in the famous temple of Lord Jagannath, in Jagannath temple, we have the pots out of clay pots, so because to offer our prasadam of Lord Jagannath, of Great Jagannath temple, we never use the materials, no utensils are used. we serve the avada, I mean the holy prasad, in the clay pots. And some of the artists, along with making these clay pots, they make some terracotta toys also. So these terracotta toys,
Tapan, looks like there's some technical issues. Let us wait. Parul, maybe you can do this slide share if he has a technical issue, or he's on mute now.
No, so actually, I think he was online by 2 devices, and I'm trying to.
Yeah.
sir, can you see it now, right now?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. We are back.
Yeah, I'm back again. So it is the terracotta clay. It is available both in coastal districts of Orissa.
Tapanji, are you sharing the screen? The screen is not shared. Are you sharing the screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing. Madam.
You can speak on. I'll share the screen. Okay, it has come.
Yeah, I'm sharing right now, madam. Is it okay now, madam?
Yeah, you need to do it. Yeah, full. Oh, done. Please go ahead.
So these are the clay toys I was talking about, terracotta toys, I mean, available both in the 10 districts, along with the 10 coastal districts of Orissa, as well as from in the northern part of the state also. Also, the beautiful part of this clay pot, we can see, you see, it's a terracotta house. I mean, the cover of the house, the roof of the house is made of terracotta tiles. And you see some toys are there. Even if these are poor, I mean, the houses belongs to poor people normally, they never forget to decorate their houses. You see, the figures of some animals are there on the top of the house. So it is born, when they born these tiles also, they used to make this toys on the tiles, and they burn both the toy along with the tiles, so that the upper part of the house, the upper part of the roof can be decorated with the toys. So mostly these houses are available in the western part of Odisha, as well as our neighboring state on the western side, I mean, in Chhattisgarh. So in some tribal villages of Chhattisgarh and in western part of Odisha, in Sambalpur, Bargarh and Balangir districts, we can find some of the tile houses like this in the typical villages I'm talking about, along with the toys on the top. So like right now I am talking about the toy dancing here. Is a very typical gentleman from Keonjhar district. He used to make the toy dance. He used to make the toys and used to go on folk dance, you know. This is the gentleman you see. The mustache is very similar like that of the gentleman also. You see, we have many types of folk dances like I was telling you. So this is the gentleman who is sharing with me his medals and certificates and all that he has got from different sources, from different organizations. I used to visit this village with my tourists, and he is very famous of making toy dances. We say in typical Odia, we say Kandhei Nacho, I mean the dance of the toys. So we have some stories from mythological stories particularly. Normally we follow mythological stories while we have this dance of toys. About voice of a gentle voice also, and also a baby even, of a child even. So there are multiple, I mean, he can do multiple stories. I mean, he can play a role of a gentleman, a role of a lady, a role of a king. According to, to the theme, according to necessity, it takes off. and move it and put down. On the ground, he has toys, starting from Maharaja, Maharani, and Rajkumar and Rajkumari, everything. He, according to his voice and he carry and playing. This is a very typical, which is very famous toy. Next one is called the Dokra craft, which is very famous in Odisha as well as in Chhattisgarh also. Bell metal craft. This is a very indigenous toy also. We have a very typical village, approximately here. We have, they make Dokra craft. Also in southern part of the state, in Rayagada district, we have a they also make this. That's near Shakurak, approximately 50 from district. So the elephants from the same village. Sometimes they do the showcases to ornaments. I mean, along with different types of toys, earrings, key rings, different types of house antiquities. I mean, items. They have also. Should I have covered toy section now? Games of Odisha. It's called two. These are down there with a point down there. I mean wooden thread. Throw it out.
Tapan, looks like there's a bandwidth issue with your end. Can you check, please? Parul, can you do the slideshow?
Yes, sir. I think we have lost again him.
Yeah, I think must be a bandwidth issue. But anyway, viewers, it has been quite an interesting journey with both this presenters sharing.
Sir, I think we can do it. Can I talk for a moment, sir?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's back, I think so. He's back.
in fact, looking at both the presentation, it is kind of an amazing unity and diversity that we look at. So there are so many similarities when it comes to the traditions and the history of toys.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So actually, the main objective of this webinar also was to kind of bind the two distinct cultures, and see how they are similar, even though they are so well apart. And while Tapan comes back,
Yes.
let me also share with what Chitra
I would like to share something with you, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a quick, can I just share my video here? One moment. Yeah, this is something I really, please forgive me for missing this in my previous talk. When we were discussing about the toys and games, I actually had special time saved to tell you about a game which is very much of Maharashtra state. We all know the puppet toys from all over India. Different states have their different puppet toys, especially in Rajasthan. Puppets are popular all over the world. But in Maharashtra, there is a place called Malvan. It's closer to Mumbai. When you talk about Mumbai Goa distance,
I think,
and this Malvan have a family of Gangavade, and the Gangavades are making the wooden puppets. See, if you are used to see the puppets of Rajasthan, you know how lightweight they are.
True.
But
True.
when you talk about the puppets of Maharashtra, I must tell you, sir, they are absolutely heavyweight toys.
Great.
So it's
So
called Chitrakathi, and you to hold them in your fingers, it's like really a struggle. And then they have the folklores, of course, just like Rajasthan.
great.
But the major difference is
So
between.
wonderful. I think Tapan is back. So let us go back to Odisha.
I'm asking.
Yeah. Tapan, can you hear us?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
I can
Please,
hear you.
please take over.
Screen, sir?
Yeah, take over. Yeah, I can see your screen, please.
So I was talking about this game called Nottu game in Odisha, Nottu Khela in typical Odia. The next one, sir, I'm coming, it's called Baguri, as you can see from the screen here. This is a very old form of the indigenous form of Kabaddi, as you know. Kabaddi, if I can tell, it's born in Odisha, is now the national game of Bangladesh too. But we say the older form of Kabaddi is here in Odisha, was born in Odisha in the name of Baguri. So minimum 7 people will be there on the either side. There will be middle line in the middle. There will be a line on the middle. 7 players each side. One of the player has to call Kabaddi, Kabaddi or Bagudi, Bagudi. He has to chant this in one breath. He has to call Kabaddi, 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 and to go on the next side to cross the middle line. And he will try to tag either one or many on the opposite side, many players on the opposite side. As much as he can tag, they will be considered as dead. I mean, they will be out from the game. They will be out from the game both in Bagudi and Kabaddi. So this gentleman who crossed the midline with the chanting of Kabaddi, Kabaddi in one breath. Normally it is in the old form, it is called Bagudi, 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 Bagudi. In one breath, you have to do this. And with tag as much as you can try your best to tag. So either you can tag them or you can be tackled by themselves, by the opposite party. If you are tackled by them, then you are also dead. I mean dead in the sense you are out of the game. You tag them and come back to the middle line. You come back to the middle line and touch the middle line again by tagging either one or three. So you are the winner in this sense. You are able to make 3 or 4 out of the line, out of the game themselves. The difference of Kabaddi and Bagudi is, in Kabaddi, you can get back life. Once the opposite parties do the same thing, you can get back your players to the pavilion, to the line, to the court. But in Bagudi, those who are dead, those are out of the game, they are out forever, for that day, till the game is over. So this is my point is the oldest form of Kabaddi, that is called Bagudi, is played mostly in coastal districts of Odisha. During the Raja festival, we have a very typical festival of Raja that we observe in the middle of June, particularly 14, 15, and 16 of June, particularly. That is the fertility period of the Mother Earth. And the Mother Earth gets her ready for the cultivation. So we say it's the fertility time of the Mother Earth. So that time, we don't want to go for cultivation. Normally, nobody wants to heat the land. No cultivation, it's a complete rest for the farmers and other people too. Even the young girls observe it because they don't have to help the mothers in these 3 days. They have to enjoy with their friends and with the swing. I will show you this swing. Raja Doli, we say it's a swing game of swinging. And that day, in these 3 days, everybody enjoy herself, particularly young boys and young girls. So this Bagudi is played, Kabaddi is played during these 3 days of Raja festival in the middle of June each year. Another image of that Bagudi or Kabaddi again. This is the swing I was talking about during these 3 auspicious days of a Raja festival in the middle of June, in the midweek of June. You see the young girls particularly go on swing with a very strong branch of a strong tree, normally in the banyan tree. We used to hold our, bang with the swing, with strong rope, and in the middle, a wooden patta will be there. One wood piece will be, flat piece will be there. The girl is sitting, you can see. So that the friends will help for her shooing. So it is a very game. You see, this is the bigger side. In the figure, was enjoying. Here you see, more than 10 enjoying. Wooden plate, you can find sometimes two young girls are sitting. So this is called bouncer doli. That is normally Raja doli. This one is out of rope. This is in rope normally, and this is by bamboo. And this is more adventurous. Normally, very few girls go on this because it's very adventurous normally. So the next one is very typical one in Odisha called Puchi. Puchi is two types. It's kind of gymnastic. You can do it in a gymnastic way. This is called a Basi Puchi. You have to play and you have to sing a beautiful song here. So particularly young girls during Kumar Purnima, that full moon night of Ashwina, month of November approximately. So during that auspicious day when the young girls go for worshipping Lord Kartik, Lord Murugan, to find a beautiful bridegroom like the Lord Kartik. So it is in the month of November, Kartik Purnima, and other time is during that Raja festival in the middle of June. I was talking about. So in these two auspicious occasions, the young girls, particularly the teenagers, go for this game called Puchi Khel. So one is, like I repeat once again, one is in sitting position, this is in sitting position again, another one is in standing position. So they have a beautiful song, like when you are in standing position, I can have one music in local language to give you local flavor. Sorry for the non-Odia audience, of course. So it is said while they perform this game, they perform this dance com game. In a standing posture, they say, सारंग साग तोली अधे कली कंचा अधे कली भजा तो भौणी रानी मो भाईटी राजा. Always my brother is king and your sister is queen. It's always in all the folk music. So this is the beautiful ones nowadays really going out from Odishan villages. Sorry, state of affairs really. So Basi Puchi and Pia Puchi, very adventurous. Really, it's very taking. I practice sometimes to cure my little diabetic, but it's very difficult. So this is called once again Kaudi Khela. Very typical one again. Kaudi is the floor. You see, it is played by two old women. So they are not professional. From this image, you can imagine they are not. It's just a time passing game. Just after lunch, they sit down on any veranda, the neighbors come and they draw it on the chalk. They draw it instantly there itself. And with some of the kaudi, first let me show you this kaudi, the seashells, kaudi shell, we say. Like it is known to everybody, I think. In the pre-independence era, it was used as a mode of transaction, mode of after the barter system, this was the money. When barter system was finished, this was the first money we used to in many states, like in our neighboring states of China and Nepal also, in Africa and some of the African countries too. So this is these are the seashells. We said these are very related to Ganesh Lakshmi. We say it's Lakshmi, so we play with it, but we never play with it in Margasira in the month of typical month of Margasira, which falls in November, English calendar of November, because it is the auspicious month of Ganesh Lakshmi. So we never play Kaudi Khala, this Kaudi game in the month of Margasira, that is November. Otherwise, normally we play this, it's a dice, and after drawing this, we have to throw the kaudis to the top, and these have some points. Those kaudis showcasing frontal face, you say, facing front, and some kaudis are fronting, back facing. So they have their numbers, they have their points accordingly. Mostly those are front facing, have bigger numbers, bigger points. Those are down facing, having smaller numbers. So according to the numbers, you gather your points, and you have to either win or lose the game to your counterpart according to the points you gather. So this is the Kaudi Khela. Very all of this in this sense. Nowadays also, even in this modern age, when our new bride comes to our house, once she enters to our house, enters to the bridegroom's house, the first game is Kaudi game. She has played her husband. Very fresh husband, you see here. The husband has to keep the Kaudi in either hand. It's like, I'll tell you in a simple sense, it is hide and seek. It's Kaudi, one single Kaudi will be there. The husband has to hide it out either on the right or left hand. He will do it in the back side. He will put the Kaudi either in either hand and show the two hands in the front to her wife, to his wife, to find out the Kaudi. If the in-laws make joke of the bride that you are not smart really. You are not really smart. So this is the first game the bride has to play with her husband and with the bridegroom after entering to the house. So very typical, very old. The next was Bati. I think Chitraji was showing something like this. These are the round pebbles, glass pebbles, and you have to play either with one or more than one even. You have to put all the balls, all the glass balls in a circle, and with one you scatter it out. So scattering out from the point, I mean from the circle, you have to follow, you have to hit each one, following one by one. You have to hit and throw it, throw the particular one, the single one in a hole. So one by one, you have to take, hitting one by one, you have to take all of them to put it in the hole so that the game will be over. And your counterpart has to play this game. So the count on more. So if your counterpart has hit 10 holes, put 10 in the hole and you have 8, normally is the winner game. So even if it is a very good one, in normally most families, they don't like their children to do this. They say this is a game of cowboys. In the traditional villages, it's still in practice. The next one is, I mean, with a gulli either one. This is a badi khela, very similar. I mean, from the voice, from the form, you can imagine it is badi and the stick. You have to, in a rhythmic form, you have to form it. You have to hit with your friend, beat the two sticks along with your friend with a rhythmic way. Mostly Yadavs, the milkman community, they have this during Rasa Purnima. It's in August, I think. Yeah, it's in August, in the month of August, during the Rasa Purnima, milkman community, the Yadavs, the musical with this. Except besides Yadav people of community, having also districts of Odisha, the famous Ratnagiri northeast of villages, they do this or this stick game, and in some villages of Puri also they do this. So mostly in coastal districts of Odisha. Doggy handing up, as you know, this is a very popular game all over India, mostly in northern India, played during Holi in March. You have to, some young boys have to, a boy will be on the top of the boys to break that earthen pot on the top, having some surprise in it, either cash for reward in reward or some sweets, whatever maybe. So some boys, of course, you have to be strong enough. You have to stand in a pyramid for another stand. The boy on the top has to hit airport so that he gets this surprise, maybe in terms of some cash or material. Here it is, like Chitraji was showing. I have kept it also in my last part of my presentation. Most important one, we say Ganjapa exactly. We don't say Ganjifa. In Odia, we say Ganjapa. And it also played and played in that historic village. I mean, traditional Raghuras day. Sorry, that is village again. So Ganjipa, as you know, it is the counterpart of playing card. It is not exactly playing cards. There's some people take it as older form of cards, but we have also. But in that village, they never play the old. I mean, the modern playing cards. They go on playing with this. Images of 10 incarnation of Vishnu. We have Navagunja down one. The last one is Navagunja. It's typical a mixture of 9 animals. You see this is snake, one is of human hand, and the head is of a peacock. So it's a typical of the artist who don't have such type of animal. Everybody knows. So it's the definition of the artist. It's a mixture of 9 animals called Navagunjara. So that artist village of Raghurajpur, they paint this Navagunjara also on our Ganjapa cards, and it is family in this is very much associated with royal families, and also the martial in many states too. The older form is here in Odisha. So these are the other form of Ganjapa here. Along with we have all this also. So this is a clear picture of the incarnation here, clearly. So this is also a tricky game. We say brainstorming game. Even if some old people play it, you are a viewer there, you can imagine how brainstorming game is. They keep so quiet. They use their brain so sharply. The entire atmosphere is very calm and quiet because they do the mind, they do the exercise of their brain to the parties. So normally people normally talking about, so 2 with 2. So this is a Ganjapa, like as you were showing in a presentation. I hope you enjoyed these toys and traditional games of Odisha. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tapan, and thank you, Chitra, for really taking us together for this almost 90 minutes of interesting facts and stories of the toys and traditional games. In fact, this gives an inspiration. Why not do a toy trek? Toy trek. When I say to develop some itineraries when we travel to kind of exclusively kind of look into such villages and also experience how the communities are kind of striving to keep this alive. And as Chitra said, and as Tapan has said, across the country, we have this communities which are slowly going away to alternative livelihood, etc. And this can be supported. Tourism can play a very great role in kind of sustaining and supporting such families when we travel, and we kind of patronize. It's just not the royal families that we also as a citizen should look at how we can support. While today marketing is become very diverse, and when technology is also quite helpful, so many of the artisans are adapting and they are going online, cutting down the middlemen, and they are reaching the global market. So that's a good sign. And as I said, tourism can really transform lives. It can transform the communities, the livelihood, it can give livelihood. And as we kind of are on the eve of World Tourism Day, I would also like to say, how appropriate that
Thank
the
you.
theme this year is rural tourism and tourism and rural development. India lives in its villages, as Gandhiji had at one point said, that India lives in its villages, and the villages are full of surprises and experiences. And when the normalcy comes back and we start traveling, let us at least take a oath or pledge that we will visit one of these kind of traditional villages, or kind of patronize certain uh, indigenous toys, or bring back the fun of the indigenous games which are slowly going back, because these are all identity of our culture, of our heritage. And with this, I once again thank both Chitra and Mr. Tapan for kind of taking us through with their very detailed research, because I know the presentation doesn't come off in overnight. They have burned midnight oil reading and kind of preparing, etc. On the other side, I would also like to acknowledge Parul from Safari Plus for giving all the technical support to us, and also my team in my office who are kind of coordinating and putting together the whole structure for this presentation. And before I kind of finish off, if I would like to request both Chitra and Tapan to say a few words, because people have been patiently listening to us. There are so many comments and information which is coming on, and a lot of them have also asked for contact details of these artisans, etc. So, Parul, I would request you to kindly collate and send some of the questions with the email IDs, etc., which is available, so that we can reply. And as Tapan and Chitra has said, there are pockets of excellence in almost every part of the country. And from the India tourism side, we will try to kind of see how we can document this and bring it up as a repository for information. And with this, Tapan, would you like to say something and end before we end,
Actually,
and
sir,
then we go to Chitra?
I would like to thank India Tourism and to you particular, sir, for giving me a chance. And it's a very particular, very typical theme to talk on. Very subject actually. I was very happy to put the subject to talk on. I'm sorry for the technical problem in the middle from my side, sir.
No, that's okay. Technology is something which is not in our control. We should not worry.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. You, Parul, Malti, the whole office staff are all employees and all of my guides, my colleagues in Mumbai. I really want to thank these people, but I do want to really thank to the people who invented these games, who have been playing these games, and they're playing with these toys, which really made our childhood memorable. And I wish we can sustain this for the upcoming future generation. They said childhood is a foundation of our life. So the childhood which is played with, it's like the childhood where you had an opportunity to stay connected with the local culture, to the nature, would would flourish more and more. So I really want to thank to the yesteryear generation, which really helped us uh, to get introduced with this kind of games and toys and to stay grounded. Probably today I'm not saying that we are very modest people, but I would say, yes, today our generation is a generation which is a middle generation, and we have seen the modern era also. We could sustain some legacy from the past. So I hope, since we were blessed with this legacy, if time and everything permits, we would like to sustain this legacy for the future generation as well. Thank you again. Then thank you once again, sir. And I hope to see and do one more webinar on some interesting topics soon. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
thank you. And before we leave, I also like to thank all our participants. I know this is a time when there is so many webinars and so many things. Taking time
Yes.
out, listening to us and supporting us is always kind of a great thing. We are truly grateful to all of us, all of you who joined today and who stayed with us till the end of this webinar. And
Yes.
we kind of promise you will keep coming with some more interesting
Yes, sir.
topics. And as a
Yes.
takeaway from here, we will come up with some itineraries covering this, where you can discover the toy stories that were discussed here. And with this, I again kind of take leave. And before that, an advance World Tourism Day wishes. There are a lot
Thank
of
you very much, sir.
activities lined up tomorrow. The
Thank
Ministry
you,
of
sir.
Tourism, is putting up a big show between 12 noon and 1 p.m. Which is the details can be found on the social media pages of Incredible India, and we invite you all to join this and be a part of the tourism experience and journey. And we wish the normalcy return soon, and our industry is back on its full flow uh, as soon as possible. Thank you and
Yes.
namaste.
Thank you very much.
Parul,
Thank you, sir.
you can end
Thank you.
this. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.